constituents regarding Mount Vernon Street project that's going on there outside regular hours, and the town administrator and the building inspector are looking into that matter. And then I'd also like to again request an update on the Route 62 project, as I usually do. That's it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Welcome. Sean?
I'd just like to pass along my congratulations to Captain Cook for his appointment to fire captain.
Joe?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to pass along my congratulations also to Captain Cook, and I also echo Mr. O'Leary on Alan Caproni. He was an outstanding gentleman, and he'll be greatly missed. I also would like to just mention I had forwarded the board all a copy of the Reading notes that is put out by the town administrator, and Mr. Ballyconis had gotten back to me and maybe suggested bi-weekly rather than weekly, and I just think that's something that would help open that communications and the information that that we're looking to do with employees, etc. And I just was wondering, Mr. Ballyconis, if you've given it any more thought, or?
Yeah, I'm just not sure if Reading does department head meetings or they don't do. We accomplish a lot of our communications in our monthly department head meetings.
Yeah. It's just that it has a more personal touch if the employee gets it in their email, just to kind of.
Yeah.
Well, your department head meeting is with department heads generally.
Right.
You have to rely on the department heads then to pass the
Right.
message.
Well, it can be passed on directly.
I like the idea, and especially since we talked about improving communications, that this would be basically communication to all employees.
I mean, I'm not saying you have to do it, Mr. Ballyconis. I just was wondering if you'd given it any more thought, and I think it's a good thing. It's it definitely. One of the things I hear quite a bit, well, I didn't know about that. And, this just opens up and I think it'll open lines of communications a little bit more, too. I just think it's a good thing to do.
It would eliminate the rumor mill.
Yeah, exactly.
Reduce
Yeah,
it.
well, no, you're right, Bob, it does. It does.
I think it'd be worthwhile to look into. Do all the town employees have a town email address?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, everybody has.
Well, for people in town hall and in the building, I mean, not DPW people or police officers do? Do they check
Police
our
do.
email? Yeah.
Police
Oh, yeah,
do.
sure.
Police and fire do.
They have their own, they have their own domain name.
Yeah.
Does anybody do a recap of your department head meetings?
It's interesting. The department head meetings, each department, I don't run the department head meetings.
Right.
We select different department heads, and they're responsible for the coordination of the agenda, and selecting topics. And we don't actually have a formal note taker. However, if we did, it would probably be the person who was the chairman of each meeting.
We'll be the volunteers.
Not me. I write real slow.
I thought it was
Yeah.
found it interesting what you forwarded.
Yeah, it did.
They were just quick little bullets.
Yeah, and it's not so much, what goes on just at your department head meetings, if you know what I mean. It's a little bit of everything. In other words, like, as you've seen well, unfortunately, I only sent you one. I could send you more so you can look them over. You may have in there, we're gonna be closing Park Street from September 1st to September 3rd for repaving. It can be anything at all, just like a general information of what's going on around the town. And I think it really does give the employees more of a feeling of at least being informed, if not involved, It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. And I think they'd like it. I think they'd appreciate it. And that's all I had, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
My congratulations, too, to Captain Don Cook. 30 years. It's quite a long time to get from just a regular fireman to captain. It shows how little turnover, I would guess, would be a good way to define what we have in the fire department. So certainly one career that lasts a lifetime, unlike today, tons of careers are only good for 5 or 6 years, and some technology comes along and the career's gone. So, and also my condolences to the Caproni family. I've been doing some number crunching. I've been working with Greg associated with our FY 2010 budget. And I did drop a note at our finance team meeting, last finance team meeting, we looked at the revenue plan and the expenses. The town was budgeting a 3% increase in the general government budget, and we were budgeting 6% in the school because we knew basically to maintain the staffing that they had, that they needed about 6%. We looked at those numbers, and you know, back of the envelope calculation sort of suggested that we were about $2 million short. And I spent some time the other day looking at it further, and took out some things that are funded by our enterprise funds and things like that, and it looks like the budget shortfall going in is about $1.7 million, somewhere in that range, that we need to start to address. Now, the revenue plan has been adjusted down, associated with a couple of items. One is the receipts from fees or receipts from motor vehicle excise tax, which is clearly the trend is down. And the other item was the new growth, and then building permits. So we don't have as much growth. We're budgeting currently 2% increase in Chapter 70 and the lottery. And we don't know whether that's going to hold up. So we've got those items working against us going into the year. Budgeted 8% in the area of health insurance, which the opportunity there for change or savings is going to be in GIC or copay. And it's clear, looking at the deficit, that we've got to pursue that with and get some change in that area. And other than that, I don't know what we're going to do at this point. But, you know, we used in this current year's budget process things that are not available to us again. We've moved the entire waste, solid waste, to fee-based. We've made reductions in the town side that we can't make further reductions to. And I think we've got a difficult budget session ahead of us. Hopefully our financial advisory committees come up with some ideas, but I think a lot of those ideas have longer range requirements to attain new revenues especially. So we're going to be looking at cost savings, and one of the things that I had, and we also have some exposure this year, as already mentioned. We've got energy that we've got to put some money up to, and as a result, I had suggested to town administrator that we consider a hiring freeze. What does that mean? We're not out hiring new employees. What it really means is if we've got some turnover, that we ought to look hard and serious before we fill that position. The difficulty that we face associated with even having shortfalls this year in our revenue forecast associated with fees is such that I would also recommend that we look at projects that we could hold off on until later, like we've practiced as members of the Hillview Commission. we put a budget together, but revenue was a function many times of Mother Nature. And we would usually take some of our projects and hold off until June, May or June, when we had a better feel for what the revenue stream was gonna be for the year. So, I think it would be worthwhile for the board to suggest to the town administrator that, in fact, we take a hard look at what we're doing and be prepared to make some changes even in this fiscal year. It's the only way I know that, one, we don't impact what, any additional monies that we might have in free cash, for example, that we have to put into this year, as we certainly need to take a look at coming year. If revenues, if you look at where free cash is typically generated, it's generated in the area of us exceeding our fees, our estimated fees, generally, and any money that might be turned back at the end of the year from department budgets. And if we don't have any, then we have no free cash for the coming year. Anyway, I think I'm raising this concern early because it's real, and we have to start to address it. Sorry for the bad news, but
It is what it is.
it is what it is. Thanks, Joe.
Communication, positive or negative.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why we took out the positive.
And with that,
I request an executive session for the purposes of collective bargaining strategy.
okay. Michael?
Good luck.
Good night now.
Fun.
You have a little bit to write about or talk about.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Thanks for getting entertained. All right, Mr. Chairman, I move to enter into executive session for the purposes of collective bargaining strategy. And
Second.
further, the Board of Selectmen will return to open session thereafter for the sole purpose of adjournment.
Now, Steve.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Harris, second by Mr. O'Leary. Roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Very short recess, Mr. Chair.
Oh, we've got to allow
Yeah, no, we gotta get our camera snoop out of here.
camera down and ask the press to pack